So how's your brain feeling right now? Does it feel a little bit like this? A little bit squiggly, a little bit cluttered? That's an easy place to get to these days. I have been there many times myself, and in this video, I would like to share with you 5 ways to deal with that situation. 5 ways to declutter your brain and get to something that's a little bit more organized, a little bit more actionable. And hopefully one or more of these techniques will be helpful not only right now, but also in the future. A strategy that you can turn to whenever your brain looks all squiggly like that one on the left. First up, grab a pen and a notebook and write whatever words and phrases and sentences come to mind as fast as you can, not editing, not really even worrying about what the heck is coming out. This is the process of stream of consciousness journaling. I remember first being exposed to stream of consciousness journaling in my junior language arts class. Shout out to Miss Long at Pleasant Hill High School. But then coming upon this idea again in Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way, in what she describes as morning pages, suggesting that this is an activity that you start your day with, that in order to engage in any type of creative work, it's helpful for a little bit of a brain dump. Get whatever cluttered thoughts are out of your head and onto a page so that you can move on with your work. In this case, I think it's the act of putting your thoughts down into words, which kind of causes them to slow down a bit, slow down enough for you to be able to write them down. And then once they're out, it's a little bit easier to not continue looping through those ideas. You've given them this external form and you can move on, which is, I think, the best way to use this first approach rather than going back through immediately and rereading what you just wrote. Don't do that. Not immediately, at least. Just close the notebook and get on with your day. For the second approach, we will be a little bit more organized, a little bit more actionable with a quick bullet point list. Get each individual idea out one at a time in as short a phrase as possible, and then worry about sorting it and doing something with it later. And that way you're giving each individual idea its own space, recognizing its relative importance in your brain, and then maybe right after making the list, maybe the next day or later in the day, come back to it and decide what you want to do with each of those bullet points. If instead of getting all of the thoughts in your head onto a single page, you'd like to instead take a more modular approach, then this third strategy of one idea per card might interest you. For this one, the idea is to grab a stack of index cards, and on each card, get down one of the ideas that you're thinking about, one of the things that's cluttering up your brain. And on each index card, you have flexibility with how you represent that idea. Maybe it's a word or phrase, maybe a sketch would be more helpful, or even a diagram. You get to pick the most appropriate representation for each of the things that's coming out of your head. And then, because each idea is on an index card, you get to move them around, sort them, group them, throw some of them in the recycling if you'd like, and decide how you'd like to follow up on those ideas that you've captured. That modularity, that flexibility is why this is one of my favorites. But if instead of moving cards around, you'd like to maybe move yourself around, this fourth strategy might be the one for you. Put your shoes on, step outside, put a small notebook in your pocket, and go for a walk. And as you're walking, as ideas come to mind, jot each of them down in that pocket journal. The act of moving your body will get your blood flowing to the brain, where it's probably needed at this point, so that you can let your own physical momentum lead to some project momentum. If it's a specific project that you've been thinking about, or simply a little bit of clarity around whatever it is that is cluttering your brain right now. At times, I have found a physical journal to be useful for this activity, but I also like using Evernote for it as well, so that as ideas come, in addition to getting them out of my brain, I can also sort them and put them in the right place that will make it easier for me to do something with those ideas. So if you also use Evernote as a productivity tool, you might try giving that a go. For our fifth and final strategy here, we're going to stay on our feet, but probably go back indoors, throw up some big poster paper on the wall, and create a large-scale mind map. With this one, as with all of the previous ones, the point here is to get the ideas out of your head and onto some page. Here, though, as you are getting each idea out, you're paying attention to how that thought, that idea, is connected to the previous ones that you've already captured, and creating a map of sorts that helps you to organize those ideas as you're capturing them. And with something like some large poster paper, you're giving yourself the space to explore and make connections between all of those ideas. And by putting that up on the wall and being able to walk back and forth, you're literally able to see those ideas from a different perspective. And you can even leave that up and come back and add to it later in the day or sometime tomorrow as new ideas come to mind, new things that you need to get out of your head. I think it's worth pointing out, too, that you can combine any number of these techniques. Maybe start your day with some morning pages, at some point go for a walk and jot down all of the ideas that come to you, and when you get back home, throw up that poster paper and map out how those ideas are connected. So I encourage you to experiment with one or more of these ideas and even tweak them, adjust them until you find something that works well for you. To find a technique that you can turn to whenever your thoughts are feeling cluttered and you'd like to do something about that. I hope that this video helped you a little bit in that process. My name is Doug Neill. I run this project here, Verbal to Visual. Check out the website if you'd like to develop the skill that I demonstrated here of giving your ideas more of a visual form. Because for me at least, turning to diagrams and visuals like this helps me to organize the ideas that I'm thinking about so that I can do something useful with them. Thank you for watching, good luck with your decluttering, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then.